Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to do my review of the Mary L. Tarot 2nd edition, and here is the box. And this is the 2nd edition reprint that was published only a few months ago. And I want to show this today for people who are interested, and the people who are interested in particularly getting the 2nd edition, because this is a reprint of the previous 2nd edition. And I think this is something to talk about as well, because some people think this is a kind of 2nd edition of the 2nd edition. Well, it's a reprint because only about 4 of the cards were changed. And a lot of publishers do not call something a 3rd edition or something like that if there has been a reprint with only slight changes. So it was called the 2nd edition because 4 of the cards were changed. But the reason for the reprint was different reasons. This box is smaller. It's not as long as the first original edition. The reason for the reprint of the 2nd edition is because in the first print of the 2nd edition, some of the cards got damaged in the box, and this reprint has got a enclosure here to keep the cards in place now. And also the reprint has the cards wrapped in cellophane so that they don't move around and get thrown around during shipping. So that got fixed. And also the backs of the cards in the first print of the 2nd edition, the backs of the cards were not all evenly coloured black. Some were faded more than others. So some were black and some were a slightly lighter black colour. So that's been fixed. And also the first print of the 2nd edition had black edging, and this has got silver gilding. And I quite like the silver gilding. And I bought this because of the silver gilding in particular, and I did not have the first printing of the 2nd edition. I did not get that when I heard that there were a few problems with the first printing of the 2nd edition. So the only things that have been changed is the packaging in particular, and making sure that the backs of the cards are all even black, and the gilding's been changed. But because the printing of the actual images have not changed from the first print of the 2nd edition, so where the images have not changed, this is still the 2nd edition. So I just want to sort of clarify that a bit, because some people think, oh, if there's been some kind of change like with the edging, well, you know, that would define another edition, like a 3rd edition, but it technically doesn't. That's not how publishers see it. Publishers would only see this as a 3rd edition if the images were changed again. So I just thought I'd mention all of that first. Now, here is the book. The book in the 2nd edition is the same 2nd edition book. It has coloured pictures in here instead of black and white, that the 1st edition book has. And I do have the 1st edition. And I as far as the book is concerned, I don't actually use the book very much. I think it's got some interesting esoteric ideas in here, and I think the book for me has got more to do with the concepts of the artwork for the cards. I think it's useful for that. There are some spreads in here as well, but I think the esoteric ideas in this book are interesting, but some of them are based on the French esoteric school, and because I'm such a Golden Dawn person with my esoteric concepts, I can only see some of the esoteric threads in this book that I agree with. So, you know, the French esoteric system is quite different to the Golden Dawn system. But a lot of people quite like the book, but as I said, I just don't use it very much. Now, to talk about the deck itself, I'm going to show cards that I particularly like. That's how I usually do things. And the cards have a semi-matte finish. The finish is not, here is the Magician. The finish is not as matte as some other cards, and I like that. I like a little bit of lamination on the cards, because otherwise they tend to chip. If the matte finish is overdone, it seems to make the cards dry, and in my experience, the cards that are more matte, as I said, can get damaged or chipped. So I like a little bit of slight lamination on the cards. I think it does help to make them more durable and helps to protect them. The cardstock is good. The cardstock is very good, and they shuffle well. They are a better size than the original edition, the first edition. I'm not going to be doing a comparison with the first edition because there's already quite a few videos that have been done about that. I'm going to mainly talk about this second edition reprint and talk about why I think it's worth getting. So here is the Magician. And I like the concept of this card. The Magician is holding what's called a Metatron's cube design. So I like that. I think that's quite an original concept. Next card I'm showing is the High Priestess. And this was one of the 4 cards in the second edition that were changed. I actually prefer this High Priestess card. This card has more of a connection to Kabbalah for the High Priestess. So I actually prefer this High Priestess image. This deck is actually quite an esoteric deck. I know at first glimpse this deck is mainly a shamanic deck, but having looked at these images more closely now, I see this also as an esoteric deck, and the shamanic concepts that are in the deck I am seeing also as a kind of initiation as well. So for me this is like esoteric theme and initiation from an esoteric perspective as well as from a shamanic approach. So I really like this because in some of the other cards I can see more of the esoteric theme. Here is the Hierophant, and this has been changed as well, and a lot of people did not like the original Hierophant card. I can see the point of the original Hierophant card. I understand the message that is coming across in that image. I like this new image probably a bit more because it's easier to look at. The original Hierophant image is a bit more confronting for some people. And this has a bit more of an esoteric feel too, this Hierophant card. So I quite like this card. The Hermit. Strength. And of course these cards are a more manageable size, and I think it actually brings out the artwork details a bit more. The Hanged Man. The size of these cards are more manageable now to handle. So for me, this has made the deck more accessible. Death. This is one of my favourite cards in the deck. To me, this is what the crone stage really means. It means advanced stage, which in astrology is about the third Saturn return that happens from the age of 87. That's how I see the crone stage. So that's the Death card. The Tower. I really love this Tower card. And I suppose back to my comment again about the crone stage being the third Saturn return at age 87 and onwards. I see the second Saturn return at around the age 58 and 59. I see that as the elder. So that is why I see this card as the crone, because it's at the end of life or nearing the end of life stage. Because death is a process. It's not just a single event. Death can be a process and a preparation. So death, again. And now for the Judgment card. Now this card got changed. This was one of the 4 cards that got changed. So the High Priestess, the Hierophant, and the Judgment card got changed from the first edition. This has still got the red phoenix bird in here that is in the original Judgment card. I like this card too, but I don't like it as much as the original Judgment card. I'm glad that the red phoenix bird is still in the card, that there isn't as much emphasis on the red phoenix bird as there is in the original Judgment card. So there's some of the major arcana that I particularly like. Now for the minor arcana, I'm showing the wands first. Ace of Wands. And it's these cards that have a more shamanic feel. Ace of Wands. I love this Ten of Wands card. And only some of these cards have a Waite Smith feel. Only some of them. this deck has really a lot of its own style, really. In the book, the artist and author mentions the three systems, and the Marseille, the Waite-Smith and the Crowley-Toth deck, but this deck is mostly its own style. And I think it's because it has borrowed from different esoteric traditions. There are not only the French esoteric school concepts, but there are some others as well, and they are mentioned in the book. So the Ten of Wands, I really like this card. And I love, this is probably my favourite Wands card, the Page of Wands. It's a really beautiful card. Now for the cups. Ace of Cups. Nine of Cups. And I like this card because a lot of people aren't aware that the Nine of Cups is shown in the Waite-Smith deck as a kind of overindulgence card because of its association with Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. But the planet Jupiter is also associated with philosophy and reflection and spiritual reflection. And the Egyptians particularly saw the baboon as a kind of afterlife figure. So I really like this image for the Nine of Cups, because to me that is what the Nine of Cups is really about. And the Queen of Cups. And this has a crab or crayfish figure here, which is connected with the sign of Cancer, the crab. And I do associate the sign of Cancer, the crab, with the Queen of Cups. Now for swords. The Ace of Swords. This is a bit unusual, this Ace of Swords. It has the eagle, and you know, birds are representing the air element for swords. But this one is showing an eagle that is actually tied. Its wings, it's being restricted and not able to fly. And you can read about the concept in the book. I can see the concept of birds and air for the swords, but I don't quite agree with the idea of the bird being tied. It's kind of talking about the idea of restriction and fighting restriction to seek freedom. This is a card that has taken me a while to reconcile with. Ace of Swords. Now the Three of Swords, this is the fourth card that got changed for the second edition. This is the Three of Swords, and it's, as you can tell, it's a lot like the Waite-Smith concept. I actually prefer the original Three of Swords with the bird. I really like that particular card. I'm not saying I dislike this card, but I was a bit disappointed that this card got changed. I think, you know, it's quite well done, but I just think I'm not sure that it quite fits in with the rest of the deck, because the rest of the deck is not very Waite-Smith orientated. So I am a little bit disappointed that this particular card got changed. Three of Swords. I love this Ten of Swords card. I love this card. I think this really represents the energy of the Ten of Swords, and particularly from a Kabbalah perspective. I think this is a great Ten of Swords card, and it's another one of my favourite cards from the deck. It's a wonderful card. And the Knight of Swords. I love this card as well. I love the owl. I love the energy in the card. I just think this is a great Knight of Swords. Now for the Earth suit, which is discs. Again, the Ace of Discs and a very shamanic image. It's quite a beautiful Ace of Discs card. The Six of Discs. I like this too. It's got a very strong nature feel, and it's all about balance. There's a lot of balance imagery in the card. I think this is a beautiful card for the Six of Discs. The Nine of Discs. I wanted to show this yet again. This is a very esoteric image. It's based on the image of Baphomet, which was based on the original drawing by Eliphas Levi. So this again is an example of the esoteric theme that is also in this deck, as well as the shamanic theme. So Nine of Discs. And another favourite card to finish with, the Page of Discs. I've always loved this card. It's just, it really encaptures the essence of the earth energy and of nature, and you know, the newness that is associated with the pages. So I think this Page of Discs is quite a beautiful card. Okay, so they are some of the images of the Mary L. 2nd edition reprint that was published in the last few months, and I'll put some details. It was published by Red Feather, which is a division of Schiffer. So here is the box again. It's a smaller box than the original longer box of the first edition. So I really do think if you liked the first edition and if you want a better print of the second edition, it's worth getting. And if you would like the silver gilding with a semi-matte finish, as I said, I really like the silver gilding. So if you're interested in getting that from that point of view, it's worth getting. So I'll put the details below the video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.